Welcome back to Yoki's Kitchen. Today we are cooking cow tongue steak and onions. Beef tongue steaks. Yes, today we are going completely exotic, a little something like me. And we are going to cook this here up. This is a whole cow tongue. The process on this is not going to be easy, or it is easy, but it's not going to be quick. As I tell y'all all the time, fast food ain't good and good food ain't fast. So this is going to take some time, but I am going to walk you through it. So obviously you are going to need a cow tongue. It's a little more costly than I expected. This one here was $50, and hey, but it's delicious. I've had it one time before, but I've had it in tacos. It's called tacos de lengua, and it was absolutely delicious. I had never been able to expand or broaden my horizon and actually cooking it myself, but today we are going to do it, and I am going to bring you along with my journey. And very quickly, during that boiling process, you are going to need a few things. You can choose to add it, but you don't have to add it, if you understand what I'm saying. The boiling process is pretty much to get this thick layer of skin off of the tongue. So as you can see, all of the taste buds and all that stuff on here, once we start to get that boiling, you're gonna be able to pretty much just literally peel that off. I will walk you through that step as well. In that boiling water, I am going to include an onion. I am going to include some cloves, some salt, a few cloves of garlic, a few bay leaves, and as well as some allspice. I have my water already boiling, and it's pretty much waiting on us. So let's head over to the stove so we can get this started. To a boiling pot of water, you are going to add 2 medium onions. Making a big splash. Oh, splash. I am going to put 3, 6, 7 cloves of garlic. I am also going to add a few tablespoons of salt. Oh, so about 3 tablespoons of salt. I am going to add a few pieces of allspice. And when I say a few, probably about that much, because this is a lot of water. I am also going to add a few pieces of cloves. I'm going to show you what a few pieces are. A few pieces like so. I am also going to add a few bay leaves. They're all broken up, so try to complete a couple leaves. I would say a total, maybe about 3-4 leaves. And now, the star of the party. That cow tongue, I am going to add it to my pot of boiling water. Make sure you get down in there good. And I am going to leave this be for the next maybe hour and a half, close to 2 hours. I will check it periodically to see if it needs a little bit more or less, but I do understand that you do not want a roaring boil. You pretty much want it to boil without too much rumble. So if you, when I'm explaining myself, you can see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. If there's not too much commotion in the pot, come so you can see, there is very minimal boiling going on here. And if I'm noticing that it's catching up, I'll just turn the fire down just a little bit so that we can maintain a nice consistent heat without bringing up the temperature too high. You do want to make sure that you add your lid, and you pretty much do not have to touch it, do not anything with this until hour, 30 minutes, close to 2 hours. See you then. Now that we have probably about 15 minutes left on our, I was gonna say sheep tongue, on our cow tongue, which is the beef tongue. I'm gonna go ahead and start prepping for my gravy. You're gonna need two, this would say medium large onions. Now it depends on how much onions it is that you want. I like a lot of onions, so I'm going for two. And I'm gonna have 2 cloves of garlic as well. You're just gonna chop this up pretty, and it's up to you. It's how you like it. I like to see my onions because usually as you start to cook them, they will kind of wither away. And if you maintain a nice size on them, it'll, really not break down too much. So I am going to do this pretty quickly, very rough chop, nothing that's my usual per se, when I really take the time to julienne and really cube up my vegetables. All right, so I did tell you that this is my first time actually cooking beef tongue, and I have eaten it before. One thing for sure over here, I would never yuck your yummy. So if there's anything that you would want me to try, please let me know. Drop that in the comments. I am open to try anything. Bring it to the channel. I am pretty open to at least try it one time. So let's do that. And I did give it a try. I gave the cow tongue a try, and I really did enjoy it. So that is how we got here. So as you can see, pretty rough chop on the onion. Set that aside. And I didn't mention that how I actually cleaned that beef tongue. Now, when I did present it to you, it had been washed and cleaned. I did put a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of salt, and I kind of, scrubbed it vigorously with my hands. Although you will be peeling off that skin that's on top of the tongue, which would be like where the taste buds and all that stuff is. You will be peeling that off, but you want to make sure that there's no hair or any foreign objects on there before you actually put it into your water. So I did take care of that before we added it into our pot. And another thing, the actual stock or whatever is steeping from that beef tongue, I will not be using. So everything that I dropped in there, the onions and the garlic and all that stuff is just for flavor. I will not be using or reusing anything that is in there. So there's no worry. And another thing that I noticed, it did not let off a lot of, let's say, impurities, which was pretty impressive. So we are going to tend to our pot in 1 second, rough chop this garlic, and I'll meet you at the stove. We have now reached our 1 hour and 40 minutes on the boil time on our cow tongue. And this is how we're looking. As you can see, our onions have pretty much dropped to the bottom. Garlic and everything else is down to the bottom, but our tongue is now floating. I am assuming that that is a sign that we are headed in the right direction, because when we first put it in the water, it pretty much sank to the bottom. Now, I am going to put this in an ice bath to pretty much shock it, to stop the cooking process, but at the same time, give me a chance to be able to work with it, because I have to peel the skin off of the tongue and be able to, oh, is it gonna run over? Let me hold that down. And be able to work with it. So all of this I'm gonna have to peel off, so I don't need it to be too hot while I'm doing that. So I am gonna come over to, well, give this a few minutes to sit in this ice bath, and then I will show you how to peel that skin off. Through my journey in educating myself in the proper way to prepare the beef tongue, shocking the meat right after you take it out of the warm water was something that I learned. but you don't want to let the tongue cool off too much because it's going to cause the skin to become back taut and it's going to be difficult to actually peel that off. So it has been in the ice bath for about 5-6 minutes, and now the process is to peel away the outer skin of the tongue. And they made it seem a little easy on, I think I ruined that. Went in too deep. And you pretty much just peel that off like so. If I can get a good grip on it. All right, like that. Just continue to peel that off. Oh, it's a lot easier than I thought, than what I've been seeing. So you'll just continue the process until you get it all cleaned up. Down here seems a little thicker. So we should be able to pull that off in one piece. Oh, he has a little hole right here. He had a tongue ring. Pull that off in one piece. At this point, you have lengua preparada. So this is prepared cow tongue at this point. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. The recipes are endless. If you want to make tacos, if you want to make curry, if you want to make steaks, it's endless. But I chose to make steaks, and that is what we're doing. So I did rinse it off very nicely. The tongue is still warm. So I want to fry that down, but I was unsure if I wanted to use flour or not because it was still warm. So actually, let me cut this off here like so. That aside, and then we will cut our steaks this way. If this is not fully cooked, it is almost there. So what I am going to do is I am going to sear it, put some color on that before we put it into the gravy and add our onions. We are cutting these into, what is that, maybe 1/2 inch slices. Like so. Very nice. Now, I know it may look a little weird, but it is quite tender. If you see, if I squeeze it, it's very juicy, nice and tender. I expected it to be a little drier, but the fact that it's nice and juicy, that means we are headed down the right path. So for now, we are going to do probably about 6 steaks. And whatever you don't use, because this meat is prepared, you can freeze it for a later date, bring it out, and marinate it and cook it up exactly the way that you want it. So that is good. We are going to season this up and head to the stove. Now that we have our tongue sliced, we are going to just lightly season it because I did salt the water. I did add some allspice and cloves and onions and garlics and all that stuff into the water. So I'm not sure how seasoned it is, but as you saw, we did take off a lot of that extra skin that was on there on the actual outside of the tongue. So I'm not sure if it was able to penetrate through the back of the tongue, but I just want to make sure that it is flavorful when we are eating this. So I am going to go in with a little bit of onion powder on everything. Now, I don't believe in eating it's not unseasoned, but uncolored food. I like to see a sear or something on my steaks and my meat and everything that it is that I'm cooking. So I am going to sear this up pretty quickly. The cooking looks like it's pretty much cooked. I don't see any reddish or pinkish anything coming out of it. So it's pretty much letting me know that if either it's fully cooked or we're almost to that completed cooking stage. But the heat definitely, when we fry this up, it will be completing that part of it. All right, so we have onion powder, garlic powder. We're gonna go in with a little bit of black pepper as well. Both sides. Both sides. And just a little bit of salt as well on both sides. Okay, I got my pan heating up, waiting for these babies to get in there. And this is on medium. This is the quick boil eye, so that will get warm fairly quickly, like so. All right, we're gonna set these aside, and we are going to add our oil to our pan. Now, I'm also gonna fry these first before I actually start my gravy, because I want to also kind of draw out some of the flavors out of this tongue and get that incorporated into the onions and garlic and stuff. You know, building flavors, like I tell you all the time. That is what I want to do. All right, let's straighten this up a little bit, and we gonna be right at this stove. Next time we try this, I'm going to probably flour, you know, lightly dust it with flour and see how that comes out. But right now, I'm ready to eat, so we're gonna try it just like this. All right, my pan feels like it's nice and warm. And let's go in with a smaller piece first, which would be this piece here. Yeah. Now we're gonna let that catch up. Quick little sear on both sides. Now this is warm, so you don't have to worry about it cooling your oil off. And you can just add everything in there because it's warm. Let's check the color. Perfect. Really nice sear on that. And it's also leaving some good flavors in the pan. So I'm gonna do this to the other side as well. I have one more piece that got left behind. I'm just gonna squeeze that in here. And when we come back, we'll be ready to make some gravy. We have taken our beautiful steaks out. As you can see, they're nicely seared. I am going to make a quick and simple gravy. Nothing too complicated, so I'm actually going to use something to help us out a little bit. I'm going to start that off with this nice goodness in this frying pan. I'm going to add me my 2 onions. We are going to cook this down before we add our garlic. Why do I tell y'all to do that? Because garlic burns very quickly. So we are going to pull up all of those flavors off of the bottom of this pan and incorporate it into these onions, like so. We're just gonna sweat them out a little bit very quickly. And this spatula is not doing a good job. Now I am going to, of course, as I told you, when I fried the tongue down in the oil, this is the same oil that I'm using, so the onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, and salt is what you see at the bottom of this frying pan. Another reason why I don't use herbs when I'm frying anything is because the herbs tend to burn a lot faster. So we did not use any of that, but when you're making your gravy, you're more than welcome to add the herbs of your choice once you get that base started. And we're still in this base part of the gravy. So once you get past this part and you add your flour in and you go in with your stock and stuff, then by all means you can add your herbs of your choice. We got our onions sweating, and at this point I am going to add my garlic. Get that sweating up in there too. Cook it down. As you see, the oil is pretty much, you know, absorbed into the onions. You're gonna sweat that garlic out with the onions for maybe a minute or two, like so. And then we are going to start seasoning our onions for our gravy. Just keep stirring up, keep stirring up. So now we are just going to add a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder, a little bit of black pepper. Now remember, this is our gravy, so I like a lot of black pepper in my gravy. Black pepper, a little bit of complete seasoning, just a dash of salt, because I am going to add a Lipton soup mix on here. This is my cheat sheet for quick gravy. I'm going to add that in there like so, and I am going to let that cook down. We're going to keep stirring this. Let it get all that soup mix incorporated into those onions. Your color is going to come from that soup mix. It will burn, so you have to keep that moving. Keep it moving, keep it moving. Just like you're making a roux. All right. So, right here, we have a very small amount of oil in our frying pan. And when I say small, very small. You see that? So I am going to add just a little bit of, well, before I do that, let me get this up really quick so that that doesn't burn on the bottom of my pan. Let's make a little hole here. I am going to gradually, this is a tablespoon of flour. I am just going to gradually add this flour in and see how much of this I am actually going to need for my gravy. Just keep stirring. The little bit of oil that was on those onions will start to thicken up. And all you got to do is just keep stirring. All right, so we've been stirring for about a minute or two, and as you can see, the oil is pretty much all absorbed. And all of my seasoning is on the back of this spatula. I'm gonna go in with some chicken stock and start creating that gravy. That chicken stock was cold, so it pretty much just ceased my hot pan. All right, so you're gonna just keep going, keep stirring, keep adding until you get the consistency that you're looking for. And once you do that, you are going to taste, make any adjustments, and I will show you what to do after that. Our gravy is nice and done. Now, I did tell you that was a tablespoon of flour, but I didn't use it all. I didn't use it all because I didn't need it. So I just gauged what it is that I needed and then put the rest aside. So don't put a whole tablespoon in there, and everything should be done gradually. Okay, so now we're gonna get our beef tongue and we are going to add this back into our gravy. Yeah, this smells so good. I'm a little excited. I am going to give it a quick little flip so that all that can get nicely incorporated and covered and smothered and delicious. Let's get these onions and put that up here like so. Okay. Now, while we were waiting, I did make some rice, and I am going to show you that rice if you're interested to know how I make white rice on the stove, because that is, you know, I used to struggle with it a lot, but I figured out how to get it done. I am going to show you my rice. This is my pot of rice here, and when your rice is done, you must flake or fluff up your rice with a fork. Do not use a spoon. You must use a fork. I don't know. Mama Yoke said it, so that's law. All right, you fluff up that rice very nicely. And that rice is not friendly. They doing their own thing. All right, it's almost that time. We're gonna give that a few minutes, maybe 4 minutes to kind of marinate and let those juices all be merry in there. And it's gonna be time to eat. All right, let's see what we're working with here. And it looks amazing. We have our beef tongue steaks smothered in onions. I have my bed of rice already ready to go. I am going to get me a couple pieces of this steak. I'm excited because if it tastes anything like them tacos did, boy, that was epic. Gonna get me some gravy. I'm gonna pour some of this onions over that, as well as over my rice. Ooh. Y'all, who came to play? Not me. Not me. All right, let's do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we have cow tongue, aka beef tongue, smothered in gravy and onions over a bed of white rice. And let's get ready to taste this. Nice and tender, as you can see. That is good. Now, that is really good. I didn't have it as far as in whole pieces like this. When I had the taco, it was kind of like chopped up. So I didn't experience the actual chew part of it. It's quite meaty, a little bit gristly, like I can almost feel a little bit of gristle going on, but it has a very nice consistency. That's why I'm chewing. Now, had I known better, that is the bottom layer of the tongue that I'm chewing. Had I cut that off first, and then cut the steaks. Remember my first steak had that little piece underneath it? That's what I have going on. But when I tell you, the consistency is great. The seasonings that I added to my water, I can actually taste them. The onions, the garlic, the bay leaves, the cloves. So it did absorb some of those flavors, and me just adding the additional onion powder, garlic powder, salt, and you know what I'm saying? It gave it a nice flavor, as well as the seasoned gravy that we have on here. Boy, this is amazing. Definitely will be on the menu more. It's a twist on the actual beef steak. You're actually having the tongue. Expand your taste buds and try this recipe. We will be seeing a lot more beef tongue recipes on here just because it is so versatile and it tastes so good. Fatty, almost like a, I wish I could explain this to you better. Almost like an oxtail. You know how oxtail is really fatty? Very good, y'all. Listen, if you have not yet checked out www.yogang.com, make sure that you do. Pick up a t-shirt or patch, support the channel. That is exactly how I make things like this happen. But I must sit down and finish this meal because this is just that good. Y'all know I love it when things work. My stove works, and I hope you guys try it and let me know if you do. And I love y'all for life. Viva la lengua, porque está riquísimo. Peace.